Okay. And I share the screen. So welcome everybody to our webinar from BESIGN, the Sustainable Design School in south of France. We are really happy here to welcome you. You have on board of this webinar Maury Larivière, who is our dean, our director, and also one of the co-founders of the institution. So he will start the presentation. We have Grant Linscott, who is the academic director for both programs, the bachelor degree and the master degree. I think Cedric is still connected. He's our manager of admissions. And we also have Samantha here, who's currently a student in the second year on bachelor degree, and she will give you some student insights, her vision about our institution later on. Okay, so I give the word to Marie to start this presentation. Please, if you wish, you can always chat and send messages in the chat so that we can collect. That we can collect your questions. Yeah, can you also? Manuel, can you close your microphone, please? All right. Oh wow. Let me see, can I actually désactiver? OK, yeah. Samantha, s'il y a d'autres personnes, tu peux les admettre, s'il te plaît? All right. Up to you, Maury.
Yes, OK. Thank you, Inken, and hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you for this webinar. And yes, I've the privilege to do the first part of this presentation. And to start this presentation, a short sentence of one of the founder of the school. We are three who founded the school 10 years ago. We have 10 years old now. And if I read that, all of this profession, I mean, sustainable design profession are going to have to imagine a new way of life. This is a new story that we must all make our own so that our planet can still be habitable. It's a task that falls to us, but above all, it's an extraordinary task. And yes, it's interesting to see how probably 10 years ago, it was a bit curious to put sustainability near design, but today, and you will see the presentation, how it makes sense today. So we have a special position. We are a private school, and we are also a member, co-founder and member of a big university in Nice. We are in southeast of France, between the sea and the mountain. And the University of Nice decided to create a big consortium of university departments, research centers, private and public schools. So it's why we share education with in the middle of 17 different schools. Here we are. This is our building. We have a 2,000 square meters building near the sea. We are 500 meters from the sea and not so far from the mountain, as I said before. And I like the nickname of the school that the student decided to give, the Soviet building of the sustainable Bauhaus. And this is an old building, but we decided to recycle it. And all the students are really involved in that idea to create, yes, a very nice mood in the school to open to creativity. And yes, we are very proud because this slide is a gift of our 10 years, for our birthday. This is a first place in a big French ranking about the schools more involved in ecological transition, social and ecological transition. So we are very proud of that, and it's the effort of our students and the team of teachers and all the staff of the school. Yes, Ingen, because she is in charge of the international part of the school. So please.
Yes, okay, thank you, Marie. So we are an international school because we do have lots of international students on campus, but we also have partner institutions in the entire world who allow us to do exchange programs. Right, so on bachelor level and master level, you will have the possibility to do an exchange in one of these partner schools. We have right now a group of students in UPES in north of India. I have a student here in Florida here. We always welcome students from Latin America. We have 3 students from Japan right now for 1 year mobility on our campus. So, and Politecnico di Milano as well. We welcome 2 students in the next semester. So it's really very active partners, yeah, that you will personally meet through their students on our campus or have the possibility to actually spend a semester over there. So this is a bit how it looks like when Georgia meets the Netherlands on our campus. Timo and Annie, they were actually both enrolled in our master degree. So we really have a big diversity of students, not only because of their cultural backgrounds, also because some did a bachelor degree in former degree in architecture or sociology, some are scientists, but many of them also did a bachelor degree in graphic design or interior design somewhere else in the world. And they want to specialize in sustainable design and how to drive sustainable design. And so finally do the master degree at our institution, right? So we have roughly 100 students on campus, 28 nationalities in these 100 students. So you can imagine that is really, really international. This picture is still one side of our school. We really try to make plants grow, just like education is something that grows. I think the image is really strong. We have part of this growing our education is, of course, as well that our diploma is recognized, or this official part of it, which is our task to make sure that your diploma is official on international basis. So we do have the RNCP recognition, which is one of the 2 official recognitions that you have in France. The other one is the visa that is we are also applying, we're also in process for that, but that will be classically more for the academic and the universities. And ours, as we are a private school, we do have this the RNCP, the Register of National Professional Certification, right? We're also recognized by the official French board system for scholarships, which is Le Crous. Enabling our French students to apply for scholarships and to find student accommodations, right? Okay, I give the word to Grant, who's going to have the largest section of this presentation. He will drive you through our education, through the courses, through the projects, and so forth. It's up to you, Grant.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Inken. So please, if everyone wants any questions or has any questions that pop up during my little presentation, please make sure to make a note. We can do questions at the end. There is quite a lot to say, and it's quite in depth. So I'll try to be as clear as I can. So we have a school that is built with 2 programs. We have a bachelor program, L1 to L3, and a master's program, M1 and M2. Now, the pedagogy that we have is built upon links with industry. So we teach individuals design, sustainability, and everything that encompasses. But at the same time, we do large-scale partnership projects with outside companies. And this pedagogy is, in essence, many students from many different years that are grouped together. So you have perhaps the M1 students working with a team of L1, L2, L3. up to 15 students working for an entire semester. Ink, please. So these are some of the industry partners that we've worked with so far. As you can see, very large companies that come to us with a whole range of interesting subjects. You know, traditionally design has covered things such as product design or interior design and the like. And these companies, although they perhaps deal with those aspects of design, they tend to come to us with a problematic that is much greater. It may be find us something innovative in a field. It may be consider the nature of the experience in relation to one of their service offerings, for instance. We've even had companies come to us and ask us to redesign their organizational culture, internal. And so these projects are extremely large, complicated. One of the current themes that we deal with design is navigating complexity. You know, in whatever that means in terms of finding innovation for positive change. Now, the other obviously common theme that runs through our program is the fact that we're a sustainable school. We teach sustainability. This runs parallel to the design program, or not even parallel, really integrated into the design program. And we cover all aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals. We cover circular economy, material choices, climate change, a whole range of different subjects. And this is very important that you understand that the nature of the subject of sustainable design, it doesn't really exist as a subject. You can't actually teach sustainable design as sort of a little packaged module that is given to students. So what we do, we teach a lot of sustainability modules, in essence, that I talk about they integrate to the DNA of the student. When you understand some of the concepts surrounding sustainability, it means you operate with that understanding for design projects. You know, you won't just blindly not consider a certain aspect of a product or a project without considering the sustainable understanding. So what we've got here is that the slide that presents a little bit the rough layout of the program. What we have is, in essence, the bachelor level, so that is L1, L2, and L3, is very much concerned with design application. That is to say, do you have the skills to successfully navigate a project? And when you move on to the master's level, it becomes much more about design theory. You still have to navigate projects, but you get immersed in higher level design theory and different theoretical constructs that will help to nourish how you understand the nature of design in society and within business, for instance. So the very first bachelor level year, the first year, is very much about taking somebody by the hand and immersing them in the tools of design. Very common question, what is design? And at this level, we concentrate very much upon things like being able to sketch, being able to find form, being able to use computers, both 2D, for instance, Adobe, or 3D Rhino. I mean, obviously, these are industry standard software. We're covering, as you can see, SDGs, climate change, circular economy, but all aspects of being immersed in what we consider to be the tools of a creative offering. You see some examples of a couple of our first year students working on projects. It's very much hand and head. You need to think, but you also need to do. We definitely kick off the first semester of the first year in the workshop to a certain degree. It's important that you understand how to create form, create a certain communication, and develop something in a volume sense. This is an example of a project that was done last year as a small introduction to design. With we actually did razors for the women and hair removers for the men. The idea is that you study for the opposite. You don't design for yourselves. It's very important that we understand that we actually have to learn to design for the user. we design for other people. And this is the initial, very first kickoff. Here you consider things like the aesthetic, but also things like ergonomics, things like functional use. Ink, please, could you? Thank you. So moving on to the Bachelor 2, it's a continuation of what we have planted in year 1. Continuation of refinement of different aspects of design, drawing skills, material choices. But one of the key things that runs through the Bachelor 2 is this idea of, if you like, harder or more complex projects. So we do 3 design projects during the second year, and they're specifically chosen to develop a certain aspect of a design skill. Okay, so the projects can be based upon products, they can be based upon services, based upon interiors. It's for us to choose each year how we see the development of our students. Here we see, this is probably a sketching class, I would imagine, but it's a nice image that gives you an idea of how we design within ourselves, and we express ourselves with sketching of solutions, for instance. But in the background, you can actually see the result of the research into a design field or a design subject. What we're doing, we're deconstructing a project with specific design research tools that allow us to analyze and understand users, understand opportunities.
It's actually Samantha was laughing because it's her drawing here, right, Samantha?
Oh yes, so it is. Very good. Yeah. So let me just sort of recap about this idea of complex projects. It's important, this, because it's very difficult to get somebody to go from a before bachelor level, perhaps a slight interest in design, to very quickly getting through to be able to express themselves, to understand the nature of creativity, to have the confidence to express themselves. So here, this is an example of interior design, where we've looked at the layout of a camper van, this one, a Volkswagen camper van. And while here we see the result is a study on the volumetric space, prior to this, we've made this space full size in the workshop, which allows us to really interact, to, in essence, try out cooking in a van or sleeping in a van. And this is one aspect of dealing with the complexity. How do we deal with something at a scale 1? Certainly for, I know, the project that we did this year, we did a development of a barbecue, and we asked the students to do a very simple, very rough model, scale 1. It's made with cardboard, it's made with little pieces of foam, and visually, horrible piece of work. Horrible. I'll be the first to say it, but that's not the point. What the point is to actually understand about the user interacting with the barbecue and cooking food, for instance. How would you put your plates down? How would you cook your sausages? How would you turn your sausages over? And it's about development and understanding of your design solution. The second project we did was work on a pedalo service, and we pushed the students to actually produce finished models, very high quality models to scale. And more we're pushing for models that are fully with paint. So in essence, they are indistinguishable from the real thing if you take a good quality photo. Ink, please. We could move on to the third year. So the third year is a continuation. The complexity continues, obviously, with each year. The big change in this year is that we introduce sociology and ethnography. So one of the fundamental understandings about design is that we have an intention to produce a design solution, but we do it for people. Design is something that is extremely human. It involves an interesting reflections on our postures as creatives to produce something that somebody is looking for. You could even argue that somebody's unaware of the solution that they're looking for, but as designers, you have the capacity to navigate research and complexity to put something on the table or to offer something that is of interest. So we have 2 major projects in the third year, and just hold on just a sec. Sorry. Two projects in the third year, and these projects actually, the second project is what gives you your diploma of your bachelor studies. Okay, and we work very much for the students in our school. It's very clear we're a small school. It's quite intimate, and the teaching is very much at an individual, but also a collective. And with this in mind, the reason that there is two projects is that the first project is a large, major project that you do by yourself, and it generates a lot of complexity, stress, and students do fail. So what we do is we put a second major project, and the question really is, what did you learn during the first major project that you can then improve for the second semester project? Okay. Again, running alongside this major project, there are portfolio studies and lots of other modules that contribute. Now, here we have a student actually standing up, microphone in hand, presenting in front of the school. So at the third year level, you need to be, at the L3 level, you need to be capable of not only navigating a project as an individual, being creative, navigating the development of a design solution, but very capable of standing up in front of people, explaining your reflections, explaining how you developed what you did, and presenting a solution that is in some ways seductive. It's also part of design. This is a really nice example. It's a maquette that, sorry, a model that allows us to sort of visualize better and the work that was done. It was to do with sustainability, which obviously runs through a lot of the projects. It's about water consumption, and instead of a shower wall, in essence, it's your water reservoir that refills each week, so you can see the amount of water that you've used that week. And that is to say, every morning you get up to go to work, you go in the shower, you use your shower, and visually straight away you're seeing your water consumption for that week. And it's about having a certain communication, certain sensibility to the discussion surrounding sustainability. So moving on to the master's program, there's definitely a marked difference, definitely a separation between what we study at the bachelor level and what we study at the master's level. We have an awful lot of students that do continue at the school. They do the first 3 years to achieve their bachelor, and then they continue in the fourth and fifth, the M1 and M2 years. But it doesn't stop people coming from outside. We get a lot of people, they do have to pass an interview, obviously. They usually have come from the creative industries, perhaps architecture or perhaps graphics, or other creative work, or even studies, you know, to move into the masters. Now, there's a fundamental theme that runs through the first year of the masters, the M1 level, which is, again, project-based, but it's about developing your emotional intelligence. So it maybe is, you may be aware, in the nature of the school and the fact that we're called BESIGN, we consider the nature of being a designer. The first 3 years I talk about skills, very much design skills, but as you move into the masters, it's very much about your posture as a designer and the nature of you as a human being. Okay, this comes from discussions about ontology, which is the philosophy about the nature of being. So I talk about the fact that we observe the world. How do we observe the world? How do we interpret what we see? And then how do we stand forward with a creative response? How do we offer something creative that could actually bring about positive change in society or in business? Sorry, a tiny bit too fast. So there's quite a large amount of theoretical modules that come into the fourth year. And this is important, about a higher level of design knowledge that is not just about application. It's not about the tools of workshops of sketching or using computers. It's very much theoretical. So we do a nice long list that covers some of the theoretical modules that we present. A brief summary, if you like, biomimicry. Fascinating how you can actually design things that use an understanding of nature to produce design solutions. Obviously, design research, very much the standard of what a master's program is about. What is a design research method? What is contextual design research? Branding, we do a lot of branding theory and consumer culture. This design context and consumer culture links very closely to the discussions around sociology, the nature of the designer observing society and what society is itself dealing with. How can we extract an understanding and move forward with that information? And I'm not going to run through all of the subjects, but it's important that you understand that this design theory then nourishes an internal conversation as you as a designer. So moving forward, when you get to the 5th year, the M2 master's year, you're using a lot of this theory to navigate a design project that is your final diploma project. Please, yes, thanks. So one of the other things about the Masters 1 level is you tend to take the role of leadership. I did mention at the beginning this idea of working with the partnerships with big big companies from industry. And so it is expected that the master's students take the role of leader and to a certain degree manager, although you're not really a manager external. You're very much involved in the creative process, very much involved in a design process of navigating through a project. So this here you see a little group of people, a little group of students that are coached by one of our professors that runs through this 16-week project.
Exactly, and it also shows a very international group, because here you have Vincent, our teacher, but I have students from South Africa, from Colombia, from Romania, from Russia, and also from France in this group.
Okay, yeah, you can maybe jump on again. And so another project that we've had in the 4th year, we currently don't have it, but we can change. We tend to improve and change and adapt depending on the year. We're conscious about keeping a nice balance between theory and practical work in our 4th year. And this is an example of a project that was called Design for Biodiversity. I don't know how much design theory you're aware of, but for many years we've talked about human-centered design. That is to say, designing for the person in the street. And more recently, obviously, in the face of the sustainability issues we're dealing with, there's been a strong movement towards design for life. And that is to say that how can we treat ourselves as human beings as independent to nature and independent to the biodiversity which is around us. And so this is a project that runs through researching the nature of biodiversity through the complexity and the interconnection that takes place in the natural world, and to come out again with a creative solution at the end. Okay, so we call this design for biodiversity, or if you like, non-human centered design, which tries to reference the idea of new philosophies of design and new philosophies of design education. So moving into the Masters 2. Now the Masters 2 year, so this is the final year of the studies at the school, is a very interesting year in that we don't really have modules. We don't really have moments with professors where you're studying any longer. At this point in the pedagogy, you're considered to be educated, educated in both theory, but also in your posture, and also in the tools of application for design. And that means that this final year is divided into a few different parts. You have to write what's called a memoir. So this is a piece of written research into a domain of your choosing. This kind of takes place during the summer between M1 and M2. So there's time to do the research, but the writing takes place at the very beginning of the M2 year. And from this immersion in this subject of your choosing, the intention is that you choose a design project. And this design project does last, we're talking potentially 5 or 6 months, 4, 5 or 6 months, depending on your speed. And it's a major project. it's a project where you will conduct with a partner in a domain, and you have to apply everything that you've learned: research, creativity, development, production of prototyping, testing, all the way through. And this is an example here of a diploma project by Eleanor and Tanvi, and very good piece of work. They looked at problems of the fashion industry, and the fashion industry is an extreme polluter currently. Fast fashion, extremely bad for the environment, and they wanted to try and address some of the damage that's caused by the fashion industry, and they looked at whether they could work out how to recycle the core material. We're not talking about textiles here. We're not talking about making something again with the textiles of your clothing, but to try and go back further to get to the primary material. And they spent quite a few months testing, researching, and concocting a little bit in a mad scientist kind of way, a way of producing a new kind of material, and adding different additives that were binders to cotton fabrics. And from that piece of work, they were able to then use that material to produce a series of products, or yes, there were products that were then used in a new sense. So here we've got a stool, but they also did lighting, they did bowls, they did a series of objects. And it's the objects are really the proof of the work. It's not really product design by any stretch. It's very much about navigating the recycling system and to consider the systemic approach to design. The material could then be used in a whole range of different applications. It's more the proof of their research and development. So just to quickly finish, the last part of that 5th year, of the M2 year, is you have to do a placement. And so it's a 6-month placement in industry. And the school does have a large network that we work with, which actually assists us to actually find placements for our students. Yes, please, Ink, please. And I just wanted to sort of go back a little bit. I've already shown this slide. One of the things that's key about this idea of sustainable development, and there's been quite a few publications about what is good design. You know, Dieter Rams was the first proponent of this questioning about why we design and how could you consider what it is to be good design as an output. And the two things are very linked. You know, if you can produce an offering that addresses some aspect of a sustainable development goal, well, the fact of the matter is you've done good design. And to a certain degree, vice versa. If you do some good design work that is profound and heavily considerate about users and the universe in which we operate in society and business, and trying to navigate the complexities that we deal with, and a good solution comes out the other end, generally you have addressed some aspect of the sustainable development goals. So it's something that runs very closely. It's very much fused within our pedagogy, it's fused within our school, and it's fused in the projects that we work on. Now, I perhaps haven't marked the point about, you know, what does that mean in terms of, I've talked in general sense about the program. I haven't marked a line to say that we do product design, we do service design, we do graphics. And this is important, really, really important, because while it is still possible to do pure product design, industry, which obviously is where our students go into, they go into the workplace, they're less and less concerned about people who can design products. They're looking for people who are creatives. They're looking for people who can, like I say, do the observation, do the human understanding, for instance, and have a creative response. And it's about innovation. Again, so what does that mean in terms of some of the things you can work on? It's product design, yes. It's also service design. It's designing for user experiences. you know, the nature of how we experience the world around us. Global design, as you can see on the list we have here, designing for mobility. You know, the automotive companies no longer consider themselves automotive companies. They don't design cars anymore. They're more interested in doing research into mobility solutions. And this is really important because the world is changing. You know, electric vehicles are, and we're not talking about electric cars here, we're talking about electric mobility is going to change the urban landscape. And these companies are fully aware of that. That's what design research in some way is. It's about having this vision of the future today, so these companies may access the development that they need to be ready for tomorrow. So, you know, we have 10 years of graduates who have gone off and done some very interesting things in industry. So principal designer, researchers, designing sustainability, transformational projects, social innovation projects, fairly successful list of students. Ink, I'll maybe pass this back over to you. Obviously, guys, if you've got any questions about the program or about design, you can ask them about the end, but I'm also obviously available via email. You can send some questions to Cedric if there's any sort of precise questions you got about the program or about design in general. Please, I'm always very, very happy to talk about our profession, but also how we teach our profession. Okay, so thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Graham. Thanks a lot. So just to sum up, to make it really clear on one page, is to show the two programs that we have. So in red, you have our bachelor degree in 3 years, and in purple down there, the master degree in 2 years. The title of the diploma is pretty much the same, but as Grant said before, on the bachelor level, you would be more on the executing level. So it's assistant designer in sustainable innovation. And when it comes to the master degree, you are a full designer in sustainable innovation, means somebody able to drive sustainable innovation within existing companies, big size, medium size, small size, or to even start up your own company, as you saw on the previous slide. We are a private institution of higher education, so there is tuition fee, even though that our institution is supported by the industry. So we actually inject this money to all the students that are enrolled in our school, and this allows us to have quite low tuition fee level. So you see that in the first year of the bachelor degree, there are 2 prizes, one for European students and one for non-European students, due to the fact that this is like the reality that we have a cost when it comes to banking costs and so forth, when it comes to pay the tuition, okay? So then starting from the second year, you have a price of 9,600, 10,600, same in the third year. These prices haven't changed in the last years. I don't know how many, maybe 5 years, because we really try to keep them at the same level, and aware of that it's hard to pay tuition. So we really make an effort to go to that sense. On the master level, we have also 2 prices. Integrated in here is actually a refresher course that takes place before the official beginning of the semester in Master 1, for those of you who integrate the master degree from outside. So really 3 weeks of intensive learning, and well, with the idea to have you on the same page as our students who did the 3 years with us. You have the possibility to do an international exchange, either in the third year of the bachelor degree or in the first year of the master degree, but only if you have done the bachelor degree here. This is actually a administrative issue, because with the partner institutions, you need to have a minimum of 1 former year at the same school, so that you then are allowed for an exchange. And since you integrate here, that will not be given, right? Okay, so obviously you also find the prices and all of that on our website. Yes, Grant?
Yeah, I was just going to add, just to clarify, the credit system. So we are in line with the European credit system, which basically asks us to consider the the amount of work and the amount of contact with professors. So, and the idea is that there's a sense of an equivalence, where if you go and study in a different school for 1 or 2 years, shall we say, the idea is that you will get 60 credits per year of study if you're successful in your studies. Okay. And that allows us to have a certain sense of an equivalence between design schools or creative schools. It does depend on the profile. Everybody teaches design in different ways. It can be purely design application or complexity or with companies, etc., etc. So while it's a guide, it's an important guide. It's 60 credits per year. And as you can see on the right-hand side, 60, 120, 180. If you got 180 credits, you've studied 3 years within a recognized design program within Europe.
Right, thank you. So BESIGN School is obviously present in all these different social media. I think it's a really good idea that you follow us, because it will give you an insight of what really happens on campus. So we repost also things from our students. You will see projects, you will see live, you will see faces and activity. Yeah, moving on to the next slide, I have the pleasure to give the word to Samantha, who is the president of our student association this year. Extremely active, and I'm really happy that she's with us. She's currently a student in the 2nd year of the bachelor degree. And Samantha, let us know, what do you do tomorrow, for instance, for breakfast?
Yeah, hello everyone. So yeah, my name is Samantha, and this year we really try to put the students and try to do an association for them to do some events. So even like small events. Tomorrow we are doing a breakfast to say goodbye to the exchange students that were here for the 1st semester. But we also try to organize some parties and some I don't know little events like shows where we can dress, or I don't know. But we did also a ball for Christmas, as you can see on the left pictures. So yeah, we really try to put the students before and do something to have fun for the student life. So yeah, and if you have any question, for sure we are here. I am here also as a student. If you want to ask me something, I'm here, so don't hesitate.
Yeah, thank you so much, Samantha. That's extremely interesting. And I mean, all of you who are listening right now, but all of those who will listen to this webinar later on, you can always ask us to connect you with one of our current students so that they can inform you through their eyes and through their sight. Thank you. So what we also do is we do organize BESIGN camps. That's like 1-week camps where you can actually come to our institution for a week, study here. We do this through our vacation, so you not meet all the current students, basically because we need the space, yeah. But these camps are just a way to design your own lamp and take it home. So it's a nice design experience within 4 or 5 days, but also will allow immersion, creative thinking, to do some sketching, to work on form, function, and functionality, user interaction, prototyping, and production. So obviously a small project, but something that will definitely give you an idea about what and how we do it at BESIGN School. Sorry. Okay, so the next open door day is in March, on the 11th of March, for all those who are in the area. Yes, and that's the end of this presentation. I would like to open up for questions, and I hope there are some, because I guess you all have the same questions, kind of, and we will answer your concerns. Is there any question, those who are connected? Not right now. Samantha, can you maybe give a little word about where you're from and how did you meet BESIGN School? What is your little story?
Yes, for sure. So I'm from New Caledonia. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's a small French island, actually next to Australia. so on really the other side of the world. I was first in I had like 5 years. I had my diploma from high school 5 years ago, and I did a mathematical bachelor and an engineering school actually. But I wanted to have more creative part in my studies, so I looked up for a school in south of France, because I did my engineering school in the south of France. So I found BESIGN, and really what made me come, actually, it was the fact that it was a small school, really specialized in sustainability. So it's really great, and I like really the fact that it's a small family and everyone knows each other. Like we have a really good connection with the administration and all the teachers and everything. So if we have some questions and we're not feeling well, or I don't know, we need something, they are here for us, and all the students also are here for each others because we know everyone. So yeah, that's a great thing. So yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I have a question. How important is learning French? Like, will I need that?
Well, yes, because it's so beautiful. I mean, you definitely need French in your life in France, so that makes sense. But we do have many students who do not speak a word of French and who study with us, and it doesn't bother us as an institution, and you will be able to do your diploma, to do all your project work, to hand in all your work in English. That's how we work. But for the outside life, it's much better. And also for a creative mind, it's really interesting to know several languages, and to have like that capacity is nice. So we do have courses for French for non-French speakers. It's only once per week, but still it's a nice guideline to what is the important things to learn, the basics of the language and so forth.
Okay.
But my advice would be start a little bit to learn some basics now before you write. All right?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, even if you're your native English speaker, actually, you will have to do your TOEIC, your English diploma with us. That's also very important because that's part of the diploma requirements. Since we have this official certification for our diploma that has international recognition, part of the diploma requirements is this English capacity. So obviously, you as native speaker, you will do it very easily. But it's an obligation. Yeah. And it's actually quite an exercise. Actually, Grant and myself, we did it as well, even though our English is all right. But it's
I thought mine was good. I honestly thought it was until I sat there and I did the exam.
Yeah, well, you have heard that he's from the UK, so I'm German actually, but it's quite something because it's an exercise of concentration and so forth. It's really fast, so you have to be there with your awareness.
Yeah.
Right. Brooke, tell us a little bit about you. Where you're from?
Sure. So I'm from Seattle, Washington right now. I'm a graphic designer. I got my degree back in 2014, and I've been working as a designer ever since. But I'm just really interested in trying to figure out how I can integrate sustainability thinking a lot more in design and kind of think about more of a human-centered design approach and have more of an effect that way. So I found the BESIGN school when I started researching how I could integrate design and sustainability, and I just thought it was great, and I'm enjoying learning about the program. But I actually had a question. This might be for Grant. I was just curious, as a master's student, potential master's student that would be coming into the program, do you have any recommendations on how we can best prepare and make sure we have a good, solid foundation? Because, if you were to go through the bachelor's program, I could see how you would just have all some, great knowledge and everything. And I just want to make sure that can be as prepared as possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're an English speaker, so you've got an advantage. All the texts about design are written in English. You know, you can definitely find a few books that will give you what you need to know. I mean, if you want, I can, maybe you could email me and I'll happily send you a list of books that would be, they're more sort of, like I say, there's a definite change. It's about your posture at a master's level. Okay, it's your capacity to take diverse information from different domains and bring it together. Okay, we talk about design attitude. There's a couple of texts on design attitude. When I did my master's quite a long time ago, that's what I was kind of probing into, the idea that being a designer is more than the tools. So you need the tools because it's part of your expression, but it goes much deeper than that when you try and sort of get a sense of what you're trying to achieve, or the way that you navigate creativity in yourself, but also the people around you as well. And it's very clear that a lot of texts talk about the idea of the design thinking mindset, you know, which is definitely part of it. You do need the design thinking research tools. You know, if you've already worked in industry, okay, it's great. You've done graphics. You know, that means you've probably got a great touch about aesthetics, you know, and a nice sort of feel about how to present something. But you'd be surprised. You'll have been learning quite a lot of other things about how you interact with other people, other creatives, with clients, with other team members, all that kind of stuff. You know, I guess we've not had an interview yet, but you know, if you want to apply, you know, I tend to do the interviews for the masters. Just I have a better feel for teaching students at that kind of level. And you know, I'd share some text with you if you wanted to read beforehand.
No, that'd be lovely. I'll definitely reach out. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, you're welcome.
I have a question as well.
Mhm.
So you said that in your program you do one semester for exchange.
Mhm.
Is it only one semester or can it be one full year? Because I know that in different countries it's a whole year, and I know it differs from school to school.
All right. Alexi, you would apply to the bachelor degree, right?
Yes.
Yes, a full year is possible. So far, we didn't have this very often because our students actually they want to come back and not miss so much our learning process. But it's absolutely possible. And even, you know, for some destinations, I would encourage to do a full year. If you go to Japan or some of these places, you know, actually a study semester is less than 6 months. So sometimes it makes sense to spend a longer time. It really depends also on the destinations. In India, for instance, you have the semesters are much longer, so you will spend a longer time over there. But the agreements that I have with international institutions allow us to welcome or to send students for an entire year as well. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
thank you. Oh, sorry.
No, you're welcome. No, really, it's a very good question. It is always something that we would look at with your individual parcours, you know, when you're studying and how far you are with your capacities, your projects, and so forth.
Yes, and another question that I have also still on this subject is what year is the exchange year? Is it the last one, the second to last?
It is the last one in the 3rd year of the bachelor. So you would study 2 years at BESIGN, and then in your 3rd year, you could go either in the 1st semester or in the 2nd semester or for the entire year.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Other questions? No? Eva, we spoke just before. So I guess I answered your questions. All right.
Yeah.
Maurice, you want to say a final word?
It's always a pleasure to exchange and to discover new faces. And yes, don't hesitate to come back to us. I have to say that we have less than 100 students in the school, and that Samantha said the school is in a very good mood. The students seems to be, I don't have to talk instead of them, but they seems to be very happy in the school, because, you know, when you want to create and to innovate in the context of sustainability, you need to have an optimistic approach, you know. So as it is, we practice this kind of optimistic approach, optimistic vision. It's the same mood in the school. So I will be very pleased to welcome you in the school if you decide to come. And yes, thank you to be there with us. It was a pleasure to exchange about our patients.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I will end this webinar now because we spent an hour together, and yes, hope to see you all individually back at BESIGN. Thank you very much. Bye-bye to
Thank you so much,
wherever you
Inken.
are. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.